us on the board, the trustees, the patients, the staff who have benefited from the work that you do. I'd also like to thank Wales Audit Office for all their support over the year. And just one final point, when we get to the strategy document, it'll be worth noting the Charitable Funds Committee have as yet not approved the strategy as it stands. And that was because we had to step down the last meeting. But it was felt that the items that are contained within the presentation today are worth sharing with you as a draft, and to say that we'd appreciate any comments that you want to send forward to us to help us complete that work. And that's all I wanted to say on that bit. So I'd like to hand over to Sue for the introduction of the accounts and annual report, if that's okay.
Thanks very much. Over to you then, Sue. You're on mute, Sue.
So we are having a bit of an issue today, aren't we, with technology. So Tim Woodhead is here today. He's our Finance Director for Operational Finance, and he's going to present the accounts for the charity. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sue. I'll take the report as read. These are the annual report and accounts. They need to be laid before the Charitable Funds Committee by the 31st of January. If the corporate trustee is happy to approve them, then that's what we'll do. I only want to draw your attention to one item within the accounts, and that's in the biggest item, I think, is the movement on investments that's referenced on the page 2 of the cover sheet and within the balance sheet of the main report. And it's a £2.3 million increase in the investments, going from 7.6 to 7.3 to 10.6 million pounds. So there's a significant increase that we have in the investments because of gains that have been made as the stock market have come back. That will become important as we look at the strategy document in future. So I just referenced that. Otherwise, I will take the rest of the report as read and happy to try and answer any questions. Although I probably need to reference Kirsty for anything on the annual report, but happy to take anything on the annual accounts.
Thank you very much for that. I should actually have said at the beginning of the meeting, so sincere apologies, but we do have our Welsh translator here again for us. Thank you very much, Anne. And so if people would want to speak in Welsh, they have the ability to do so using the interpretation button at the global icon at the bottom of your screen. If you switch that to English, and then we can continue with the meeting. There is instructions in the chat as well. Handing back over now to Jackie. Thank you.
Sorry, Lucy. I just wanted to add, in terms of what Tim just said, that our Wales Audit Office colleagues are here as well, who will present in the next appendix. But I suspect they'll be able to support Tim as well in terms of questions.
Thank you very much. So do we have any questions? So John, you had a question.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks, Tim, for that. I'm just querying what you just said then. You said about the increase of £2.4 million on the investments, which is obviously over the last 12 months, which is really good to see that occurring. But if we actually take it back another 12 or 18 months, are we actually back to the same level as we were pre-pandemic? Just so that we got a real picture of how much of an increase that we've actually got in investments historically, as opposed to seeing we've made 2.4 million in this last 12 months. Just a bit of clarity on that, if you could, please.
So the increase in the previous 12 months. So we are looking currently at just to remind everybody, we're looking currently at the 12 months to the 31st of March 2021. So if I look at the position at the 12 months previous to that, to the 31st of March 2020, there was a 0.3 million pound reduction. So although it's bounced back and more, and so if I take it over that 24-month period, we'd see a £2 million increase. So it's bounced back to a higher level than it would have done back in 2020. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I just wanted to work out the difference between the bounce back and the actual increase in income that we'd had on that. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments? It doesn't look like it. So before then we move to actually approve the annual report and accounts and note the audit of accounts report issued by Audit Wales. Is there anyone for, apologies, I don't know who is here from Audit Wales, if there's anything that you would like to specifically highlight to us?
Yes, I'm here. I'm the audit manager who's been in charge of the audit. If I can have a few words, if that's possible. Thank you. Of
course, Michelle.
Okay, thank you. I think as hopefully you've been able to read our audit of the account report, which basically states some of the items that we have to report to you following our audit. I can say that we have completed the audit and we are planning on signing the audit opinion tomorrow, the 21st of January, subject to receiving the kind account from yourselves and the letter of representation. There have been numerous amendments made to the account during our audit, and there is an item within our report that refers to the quality of the draft accounts which we initially received. The accounts were prepared initially by a contractor, I understand, and we found there were problems with them and they have been redrafted during our audit. I think I'd say that the finance team worked really well with us to produce another set of accounts and then to enable us to complete our audit within this time scale. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, but very happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Tim.
Yeah, so recognise what Michelle says. There was some initial issues that we had. I mean, without going into any detail, then what we've done is that we were relying on a contractor over the period of time, a period of time which produced the initial reports. We've now appointed somebody into a permanent position that will take forward the accounts for future years, including next year, and obviously in plenty of time, and they will take up post next week. So that has been sorted out. So yes, so there were a few issues. A lot of the finance team came together to make sure that those were rectified, and we've now got to a position where we're comfortable with the accounts.
Thank you for that, Tim. Can I just confirm then that the additional resource then it has been approved as part of the budget? Presumably it's in this last year's budget, not in this. So this is always budget that was always available within. There's no new resource. There's no additional cost, if you like, to either the charity or to the organisation. So when I say additional resource, I mean other people within the finance department were supporting, and this was a post that was always within the structure within our structure. It was previously filled by a temporary member of staff and is now filled by a permanent one as from next week. Okay, thanks for the clarification. Jackie.
I was just going to make the same clarification that the previous charity accountant had moved on within the organisation, and this was just their replacement.
Okay, thanks. So if there are no other observations or comments, are we in a position then to approve the charity's annual report and accounts and note the audit of accounts report issued by Audit Wales?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
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 Thank you very much, everyone. In which case we then move on to the next item on the agenda, which is highlights from 2021-22.
Thank you, Lucy. So if it's okay with everybody, I'll just introduce Emma, who's our digital and data manager, who'll be doing the next presentation. Just so that everybody's aware, I'm Kirsty Thompson, the head of fundraising for our LAS. And I just wanted to say before Emma commences, on behalf of the whole our LAS support team, just a huge thank you to Jackie and all the members of the Charitable Funds Committee who've been so supportive throughout the year. Also take the opportunity for Emma Begins to thank all of our charitable partners and all of the charity supporters and volunteers for all that they've done throughout this year. And to also thank our colleagues who are obviously the beating heart of the charity, but also thank our support colleagues, so those in estate, communications, finance, who do so much to support, to help with the charity as well. And just take the opportunity to welcome Helen Stevens-Jones, who is both mine and Emma's new line manager. So welcome to Helen Stevens-Jones, who's joined, as everybody knows, as the Director of Partnerships, Engagement and Communications. So over to Emma. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kirsty. As Kirsty said, my name's Emma Jones. I am the Digital and Data Manager in the OLR support team. I'm going to take you through some highlights from 2021-22. As we all know, this past year has been a challenge for so many reasons, but there have also been some really great developments and really impressive achievements by the charity supporters. There just isn't time to share all of the wonderful stories that we hear, but we wanted to take the opportunity to mention a few of our wonderful supporters from the past year. Debbie Summers gave a selection of Christmas gifts to the Allow unit in memory of her son, William Tinsley. There's Mr. Hughes from Cricket, who's a dedicated supporter of the urology unit in Ysbyty Gwynedd. He's donated more than £5,000, and this has been used to help convert a storage area into a lounge for patients. Balfour BT organised a sponsored walk, raising over £3,000 for our ICANN mental health support service, following the suicide awareness training that their team received from ICANN. 17-year-olds Iago and Thomas completed the Welsh 3000s, and raised over £11,000 in memory of Sian, Iago's mum, and to say thanks to the staff who continue to care for Thomas's mum. Sophia, a former patient on the Wrexham Children's Ward, along with her family, raised over £2,000 after finishing the 3 Peaks Challenge. And our therapeutic support service organised a virtual dance-a-thon, raising over £2,000 to buy music therapy equipment for patients at Bryn and Neuadd. It was a fantastic fundraiser and brilliant for team morale. So moving on to what has been funded thanks to this amazing support. This year has seen new innovative equipment being purchased, including a Rita. This is a reminiscence interactive therapy activity system, a state-of-the-art digital therapy system to help elderly patients with cognitive impairments such as dementia. Grants have also been given to fund bladder scanners. This is a popular request from across different wards because it really helps both patients and staff to have this additional, much-used piece of equipment to hand. Bereavement support and a medical education fellowship continue to be funded, thanks to the COVID-19 appeal. The public access defibrillator project, Keep the Beats, is ongoing too. A new cardiac diagnostic vehicle fitted with advanced technology is now on the road, so clinicians can travel to see vulnerable patients. They can diagnose and perform assessments in the community instead of on hospital sites. This has been a really welcome addition for the teams that use it. And fundraising for more new equipment like this to help reduce the pressure on our district general hospitals continues. We have been really fortunate to benefit from some excellent local and national media coverage this year. Kirsty provided a comment piece for the Daily Express NHS birthday coverage, Our Tea Cruiser appeal was selected to feature in the Sun's National Christmas Appeal. And we were especially pleased to be able to be part of the commemoration of 1 year on from the Captain Sir Thomas More appeal for the NHS, featuring on the radio, local and national newspapers, and on the Lorraine show, which we can see a clip of now.
After a look at what's happened to just some of the money that was raised.
Hi, I'm Kirsty Thompson from the North Wales NHS charity Our Las, and I'm here at Ysbyty Gwynedd.
I'm a neonatal physiotherapist. I work with premature babies. We were fortunate to obtain charity funding for 10 Zaki hugs for our babies. The parent will place the Zaki hug against their skin and it will absorb their unique smell. So when a parent leaves the unit, the Zaki is placed gently onto the baby to cradle and hug.
The Our Las support team has adapted events to enable fundraising to continue safely during the pandemic and to continue to engage with new and existing supporters. The Our Las 1 Million Steps Challenge, for example, which sees people walk 10,000 steps a day for 100 days, has attracted 129 participants. Together, they've raised over £6,500. But this isn't just a fundraiser. 73 staff, patients and supporters took part because they simply wanted to experience the health and wellbeing benefits of the challenge, just like Julie here. And for example, the Ysbyty Glenclwyd Paediatric Dietetics team ran a patient-focused event for staff, patients and their families to get involved. 22 people took part in that and raised over £1,700. The NHS Big Tea took part to mark the NHS. The NHS Big Tea took place this year to mark the NHS's birthday again. This year, the event was more of a stewardship activity rather than a fundraiser, given all the obvious constraints. And this was used to update and to keep in touch with current supporters. We were very grateful to the chair and the chief executive and the many staff members who contributed to a virtual Big Tea, which was enjoyed by many supporters. Nationally, NHS Charities Together patrons, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, organised the garden party in Buckingham Palace. They also arranged calls with NHS staff across the UK. Ysbyty Glenclwyd consultant Dan Menzies was just one of those who received the call of thanks from Prince William. Morrison's have become the official sponsors of the Big Tea at a national level, and we were grateful for their support here in North Wales, providing complimentary cakes and tea and organising their own Big Tea events. 2022 will see us redouble our focus on the Big Tea as we look forward to a big milestone in 2023, the 75th anniversary of the NHS. The Our Las support team doesn't just oversee the activity of the North Wales NHS charity, it also provides support for the many third sector groups like the Leagues of Friends, who support BCUHB services directly with, on average, over £1 million a year in donations. This past year has been challenging for most of the third sector groups we work with, as many have not been able to open their cafes, shops, or carry out their traditional fundraising events and activities. We would like to pay tribute to all of these important partners who play such a crucial role within our lives. We'd like to thank them for the ingenuity, patience, and resilience that they've shown. Many of the groups that support BCUHB services directly have been around for a long time. The North Wales Cancer Appeal, formerly the Ron and Margaret Smith Appeal, for example, celebrated its 30th year in 2021. Here's a clip of a longer video recounting the history and achievements of the North Wales Cancer Appeal, which can be found on the Our Las Facebook page.
Well, it started with Margaret Smith. Obviously, she was the spearhead of the whole thing. And what a dynamic woman, and a little woman like me. But she was brilliant, honestly, and so determined.
She was like a little whirlwind, going from one business to another just to get money. And she was a fantastic person.
As I said, that clip, that video really is worth watching. You can find that on the Our Las Facebook page in full. And to round off 2021, we ended with the wonderful Light Up Christmas event. This was a really lovely example of partnership working, with the sponsors taking a key role in supporting the event. Sponsors gave over £12,000 in sponsorship and helped with promoting the tributes that were created as part of the campaign. Bangor City Council and the Friends of Bangor Garth Pier took a leading role in the organisation of the event as well. Local group, the Bangor Seroptimists, chose to support Our Lives again, this time supporting the cost of a defibrillator on Bangor Pier. Over 2,500 people attended the launch night of the lights display, and a partnership with Live Tech, a local digital company, saw the development of a new tribute screen, which was a screen displaying the very moving tributes created by the community on a large scale at the pier. Unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions, the tribute tour, which was scheduled to visit some of our hospitals, has had to be postponed until March. But we're hopeful that we can combine this event with sharing stories from the upcoming book, Tales from the Pandemic, which is an arts and health project that Our Lives commissioned in 2020. So the tribute tour in March will give us all something to look forward to in the spring. Here's a small insight into the magic of the Light Up Christmas event.
I think the dedications are wonderful. It's just such a brilliant thing to do. Very, very emotional. I've just watched some now and tears in my eyes, honestly. Really, really good, especially at this time of year.
We did a dedication for my mother last year. I sadly lost my brother to cancer earlier this year. He was only 30 years old. So we thought it would be a good idea to do the dedication for both of them this time.
I think that they'll have mixed emotions reading those dedications about lost families and loved ones, but I think they'll probably take away something that they will never ever forget as well.
It was lovely to see both their faces on the screen there, and you think about them a little bit more at Christmas time. And seeing them on the screen there just made them feel a little bit closer, yeah, definitely.
Really lovely event that we're hoping to build on in future years. And that brings us to the end of the short presentation, just showing you some highlights from 21-22. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that Emma. Very informative presentation, and just highlights all of the amazing work that's been done over the last year. So, well done to everyone involved. Kirsty, did you want to add anything?
No, just a big thank you to Emma for everything that she's done, really, and for highlighting that so well.
Thank you.
Thanks. It just, I mean, as I think that actually demonstrated, it's been such a difficult period for so many people, and the amazing difference that that some of those initiatives have actually made, and to see how Captain Tom's contribution has actually been used as well is just incredible. So well done to everyone. Jackie, did you want to add anything?
I could only reiterate the thanks that we've already given. I found that quite heartwarming. I did a dedication to my father-in-law for the Christmas lights, and it made a huge difference to my mother-in-law when we took her the card. And that's something I wanted to congratulate Kirsty on. The idea of sending the photograph with a card to the people who had made the dedications made a fantastic difference, so that we could show her what we'd done on his behalf. So, and I think many families will have been able to do similar things. So yes, thank you all again.
Thanks very much. So we're being asked to note the information included in the presentation, and all of the work that's been, particularly the highlights that you've taken us through there for the last year. So thank you very much. And that brings us then on to the next item, which is actually about the forward plan and the strategy for the following year, for the next, actually 3 years, isn't it? Sorry. Over to you, Kirsty.
It is. Thank you very much indeed. I'll share my screen now, and just to reiterate what Jackie said earlier, this strategy hasn't yet been approved, but I'm just going to run through some of the highlights so that you're aware of what our thinking is. So I'll just share my screen now. Okay, so obviously Emma's already shown how busy we've been operationally over the past year, but we've also been very busy developing the charity's 3-year strategy. So that's what I'll be focusing on for the next 5 minutes. We've been collating feedback from staff and key stakeholders, including yourselves. So thank you to those of you on the board who completed the Our Last survey back in April. That was hugely useful. We've also been developing our understanding of what our population needs, what patient service user groups and which healthcare services need the most support from the charity and our charitable partners, and how can this charitable funding make the biggest impact. We've been benchmarking against other NHS charities, assessing giving trends, and we've got a better idea of what success looks like. We know what we need to do to make sure we're following best practice in all areas of charity: grant giving, impact reporting, fundraising, finance and governance. And we know that we need to step up. We could be doing more, and we could be doing what we're already doing better. We've looked at how other NHS charities, including Imperial Health Charity, Nottingham Health Charity, Guy's and St Thomas's, Above and Beyond, Royal Free and others have done in order to improve their donor retention rates, build on their impact reporting and grow their income so that they can apply their expenditure to really help improve patient outcomes. We decided, obviously, we need to have very clear objectives for 2022-25. And we're suggesting that the charity focuses on the following that you can see in front of you, which aren't a huge departure from what we've been doing in the past. So we'll invest in the physical and technical environment of our healthcare facilities. We'll invest in and develop our NHS staff. We'll invest in innovation and research. We'll work in partnership and collaborate with health and social care providers. And we'll continue to build and develop our charity infrastructure. We also looked at the core principles that need to lie at the heart of the strategy. And consistently came out top when we carried out the strategy workshops. Without consistency, we can't be truly successful. We also felt that being value-based was really crucial to our success, to make sure that our grants demonstrate real value for our patients and their families, staff, and wider NHS team, and looking at how we're going to measure that. Being evidence-based and open-minded is also key to what we do moving forward. We felt for a charity with such a broad remit, there needed to be priority-focused charity strategy. Early intervention as a strategic priority is purposefully broad, so it can be relevant to and encompasses all patient and service users, hospitals and community services. The charity will provide grant giving and proactive fundraising campaigns to benefit programmes which make sure action is taken at the right time by either specifically helping patients to access diagnosis, support, care and treatment in a more timely way, or by helping to build long-term resilience in our local communities. We believe from 20 22 to 25, impactful, structured, strategic grant giving needs to be central to everything we do as a charity and as a charitable team do. We'd like to set ambitious expenditure goals for 2022 to 25. And these that you can see on the screen now are the pledges that Awilas is aspiring to achieve. These goals are not definitively set. The actual expenditure may be in excess of or under these specified targets. These goals will obviously be monitored. First of all, they need to be approved, but then they'll be monitored and they may need to be adapted during this year. In order to be able to achieve this, we will need to crystallise investments. So some of the investments that we discussed earlier, and Paul Mathias from our investment management team, Brewin Dolphin, is here as an observer today. We'll also encourage fund advisors to allocate existing designated funds, so funds that will be given to specific wards and departments. And we're also planning to ramp up our fundraising effort. As I mentioned, we've taken advice from our investment managers who are observing today, and should anyone have any questions regarding the suggestion to crystallise some of the investments over the next 3 years, we can either take those questions later or at another time. We've also sought guidance from an external expert and a non-executive director for an English health trust who chairs his trust's charitable funds committee. And we're currently having the proposed strategic and operational plans reviewed by another external expert who is a founding member of the Institute of Fundraising. So the current review of the draft strategic and operational plans, we're hoping will be completed by the end of February, ensuring that plans can be submitted to HR next month and that the strategy can be approved at the March 2022 Charitable Funds Committee, if not sooner. So thank you again for your time today and for all the support everyone's shown for both the charity and for the charity support team over the past year. And we'd of course welcome any questions that you have. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you for that, Kirsty. Lots of plans there in the pipeline. Are there any questions or observations? John first.
Thanks very much, Kirsty, for that. I mean, clearly the charity has been doing a huge amount of work, and like you've already said, everybody should be congratulated on everything that's been occurred. Just over a general comment, really, about the strategy. It refers a lot to where you're looking to actually expend money. You touched very briefly at the end that you might need to look at crystallising some of the existing investments. I think for the strategy to be complete, it would actually be quite useful to have a section in there over where your income streams are going to be coming from for the 3-year expenditure programme. How much are you looking to crystallise? How much will come from designated, and how much additional funding basically you're going to be looking for? And I think that would just give everybody a more rounded picture of what it'll be looking like for the next 3 years. Okay, thanks for that.
Thank you very much indeed, John. We do have the draft strategy document, which I can share with yourself and any others that would like to receive that in its current form. We've shared it with other members of the board who aren't members of the Charitable Funds Committee, so I'd welcome your feedback on that. Thank you very much indeed for your time, John.
Thank you. Teresa.
Thank you, Kirsty. Diolch yn iawn. Na siarad y Gymraeg. Eisiau deud diolch o'n i am yr ffocws ar y gwaith ataliol ar early intervention sydd yn y strategaeth. Mae hwnna'n mynd reit ar draws y bwrdd iechyd. Mae pobl yn tueddu meddwl amdano fo rhywbeth o fewn iechyd gyhoeddus.
People tend to think of it of something in public health, but it goes far further, doesn't it, Kirsty? And I'm very grateful. And I think it's the right focus for the population here in North Wales. hopefully we are coming out of the pandemic as well. But I'd like to say, as far as the needs are concerned and the assessment of needs as you are developing the strategy, that has been something very important and shows the maturity of the work that you're doing. But I'd like to say thank you, all of you, for the work that you're all doing within the charity. Thank you.
Diolch, Teresa.
Okay, thank you very much. Medwyn.
Thank you. It's nice to end a long day on a very positive note. Thanks for that presentation. It was enlightening. And then speaking about that, I'm a Bangor City Councillor, so I should declare an interest. The Lighting Up Christmas event was a massive success, not just for your charity, but for the city of Bangor. It brought the community together in a way that no other event could. And I mention that because is there not a possibility to roll this out further across North Wales with all the various seaside locations we have, piers? I just put that out there as an idea because it's more than just raising money, isn't it? It's about bringing people and communities together in partnership. And on this occasion, not working with a local authority, but actually working with a community council, which I think is superb. Thank you very much.
Diolch yn fawr. What I would say is absolutely we would love to roll this out further. And the reason why we were able to set up Light Up Christmas on Bangor Pier is because of the relationship that we've built up over years with Bangor City Council and more recently with the Friends of Bangor Pier. So it's been a brilliant joint partnership working exercise, and in terms of moving forward from there, we are keen to replicate it elsewhere. We didn't want to go too big too soon. We had intended this year to take the tributes that you saw there on the pier, to take that to the buildings across North Wales, so really get it out to the community hospitals as well as district general hospitals and other healthcare settings. We weighed up the risks and decided that we should postpone it. We're looking forward to doing that in March. And in terms of looking forward to this Christmas, what we are looking at is things that staff are already doing in some of our community hospitals and seeing if there's any way that Light Up Christmas can add value. Certainly in Mould Hospital, the team there deserve huge credit for what they've been doing, which is putting baubles and lights on a tree, very much in the spirit of, but very separate to Light Up Christmas. That's something that they've been doing, and we'd love to be able to, wherever possible, add value to what staff are already doing, and also be able to develop those links like we have done in Bangor elsewhere. Certainly very keen to do so in a way that doesn't get in the way of what other important local charities are doing. We do know that the idea of putting lights on trees, etc., is very popular with hospices, in particularly not just here in North Wales, but across the UK. So we're keen to make sure that we're not treading on other people's toes, but doing things that certainly the staff and local communities can get behind. So thank you.
Thanks, Kirsty. I'm sure as some comments have been made there in the chat, I'm sure there are plenty of other places that we absolutely could connect you to in relation to that, and a few castles as well. John.
Thanks, Lucy. If I can get the camera to turn on. Hi, Kirsty. One of the things that just struck me in terms of the strategy was in terms of access to funds. And what I mean by that is that I'm aware that I know you publish details of how areas of the organisation can apply for funding for various things, but I still hear that people don't know how to apply. So surely part of the strategy has to be about expanding that access to apply for funding, and I'm not sure that comes out in the document. So I just wonder whether you've got a thought around that, or whether you see that as a gap in what you're doing.
I couldn't agree more, John, that it is a gap in what we're doing. What I would say, a couple of things. One is that we as an our support team, not my colleague Paula, who remains in finance, but the rest of the charity support team have now moved under Helen as partnerships, engagement and communications. That's a mouthful, isn't it? That new directorate. And even though Helen's only been here for a few weeks, around a month, already we're seeing a difference in terms of working more closely with our communications colleagues and others within the directorate to make sure that the messages from the charity are being better shared both internally and externally. In addition to that, we are using some funding that we already had to bring in a new communications officer who will hopefully be joining us, in February, but it's likely that it will be March. But just so that you're aware, that is, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, a local former journalist who has won the Wales Journalist of the Year in the past. So we are looking forward to having more capacity within the team, or more specialism within the team, to help with better communicating the key messages, particularly around grant giving and the ability for people to access grants. Because, as I said in the presentation, grant giving and the application or applying for grants has to be absolutely central to what we are doing. In the past, it hasn't necessarily been, but in the future, it absolutely will be. So the way that we communicate with staff will be changing in the future, but recognise that it is an issue that we have currently.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And yes, I'm sure Helen will bring some real benefit to that piece of work going forwards. So I can see there's no other comments or observations. So at this point, I'll wrap up. And thank you very much, Kirsty, and to the team for all the work that you've done, and your plans going forwards. As you say, that the proposed strategy will be coming to the next Charitable Funds Committee. Is there anything you'd just like to quickly say in closing, Jackie?
No, thank you. I think we've said everything we need to. Actually, Kirsty, if we could send out the draft documents to all the members, I think it would be worth having input from everybody before the next Charitable Funds. Thank you.
That'd be fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, as trustees, I think it would be really helpful for us to be able to review that. So thanks everyone for your time this afternoon, and providing us with that overview of both past, present and future. Have a good afternoon. Diolch yn fawr.